guys over here and the judges over there.
I gotcha.
So when I say I have to go to the judge's office, they're like, which one?
Yeah. Do you interact a lot with the court staff, like the judges, clerks, and?
Yes, because I'm in charge of their records. I'm the my title is supervisor of the records and / marriage license department. So anything we keep a record of, I'm kind of in charge of. I want them to call our department archives.
Yeah.
But they didn't go for it.
Okay.
They thought it was too fancy.
I got you. Mr. Smith?
Yes, it's me.
How are you?
Well, how are you?
Doing all right. My name is Frank Jenner. I'm going to be the attorney for the assessor's office today.
Okay.
Also in the process of trying to run IT on all this as well. So just making sure everyone can hear, everyone's audio is okay. We can hear you just fine over here. I'll be sitting in, the judge is going to be sitting there, and then another one of our attorneys is going to be sitting as the judge's clerk right here as well.
Okay.
So I see we've got a Mr. Witt.
Yes, I can't see them, but I think they're there. That would be Storm Nolan and Chris Witt.
Okay.
And let me say this: I don't know that there's any real testimony to give. I think it's just going to be sort of a brief summarization of argument and on my end, and then if you have any questions for Mr. Witt, Mr. Nolan, then I'm happy to have that go on. So
Okay.
Mr. Smith, you're the attorney for what's your client's name?
it's HILR Partners LLC.
Partners LL. Because I've done a lot of these. Okay. And Mr. Witt is Mr. Witt? Yes, he's not here. Is he just the is he testifying? Who's he representing?
He's one of the members of the LLC that is the.
Okay. That's perfect. I can put that here.
And did you say there was another person with Mr. Witt that may also be answering questions?
I suspected that it would be Storm Nolan, storm like thunderstorm, Nolan, LONAN. But I don't know. He may be sitting with Mr. Witt. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't know if they're going to join. They work together, so they're in the same office, but they may be joining independently. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Gotcha. Mr. Witt or Mr. Nolan, can you hear us? I think that answers my question as a no, but. Oh, I've also got a Storm Nolan looking to join. And then a call-in user. Okay.
There's Storm. I see him.
Stephen?
Hello?
Yes, this is Chris Witt. I'm on video and my phone. So.
Okay. And Mr. Witt, just testing, can you hear us okay where you are?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Mr. Nolan, we can see you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we can hear you as well?
Now we're just waiting on the judge.
I will just say, because of the setup of the office and the constraints program, We've got a single speaker that also is working as a microphone. So it's very common to get a lot of feedback or excess noise coming through here. So if everyone could just kind of be mindful of any background noise or any feedback or anything, we're just trying to keep that to a minimum for, everybody's experience and enjoyment. And I believe the judge will be here in just a minute.
Can you say your name again? I'm sorry. You're the attorney for the.
Yes, sir. My name is Frank. Frank Jenner. That's Jenner. Sorry, Jenner.
Frank Jenner. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. I'll see if I can type it into the chat.
I think I was initially told that there would be a Fogelman that would be representing and so that's why I was confused. So.
No, I understand. That is my boss. So I will be standing in for the county attorney's office today. Oh, yeah.
It's just me or is it kind of hot?
It's a little warm in here.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I'm running a few minutes late. I see you've got a sign-in sheet. Does everyone introduce themselves?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Stephen is the attorney for the petitioner.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And Storm, am I reading that right? Storm Nolan?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're the local meteorologist and you're gonna, I'm sure you've never heard that joke before.
I've been called it before.
There's worse things. And are you a witness or?
Your Honor, if I may, before you got into the room, I discussed with Mr. Jenner the fact that I was going to approach this more from just sort of a presentation style. I was going to hit the high points, and then should the board have questions for Mr. Nolan or Mr. Witt, then I would, let them. But other than that, I'm gonna. I don't know that there's any real testimony to be given other than my commentary to support the petition that I've made, and then these gentlemen are here to answer any follow-up.
Okay, well, this is the county court, so anything that you want to be recorded in the record that's spoken by other than an attorney is a witness, and we'll need to swear them in. So that's really just why I was trying to identify as discreetly as I could who's an attorney and who's a witness. Let me go ahead and get some record. The court's convened. Mr. Clerk, would you swear whatever witnesses we have?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay. Any other housekeeping we need to take care of? All right, Mr. Smith, you can go ahead and get started.
Thank you, Judge Hyde. Thanks for the opportunity to be here, even though I'm not really there. Hopefully we can move past this mess at some point and
It's
Maybe
2020. That's all I can say. It's 2020.
That's right. Just by way of background, we're here to discuss the assessed appraised value for parcel, and correct me if I'm wrong on 34L-021 period 00-023. And that parcel, I think it would be fair to identify that as the current location for the Holiday Inn Presidential there in Little Rock. Initially, upon reappraisal, the assessor applied a value of $10,530,000, and then a duly assessed value was given of $2,106,000 for that particular tract. It was at that time that Mr. Witt and Mr. Nolan disagreed with those numbers and first brought the matter before the Equalization Board for reconsideration. And it was at that time, it is my understanding that Mr. Ortagara was appointed as the agent for the board. And at this, my understanding too was not only was he provided with all of the information that I attached as exhibits to my appeal petition, but he may have provided some other information that would appear in the court's packet. I will also say that he did inquire of my clients as to what value they felt was appropriate for the property. And despite being provided with multiple profit and loss statements that showed that this property had suffered, at least in 2019, a net operating loss of $560,651, and then through the end of July of this year, it had suffered a net operating loss of $293,880.39. It appeared as though that a comparison was made in order to arrive at what we are appealing between multiple Holiday Inn properties. And I would point out the fact that that comparison is Exhibit D to my petition, and there you've got several Holiday Inn properties that are lumped in there, as well as Holiday Inn Express properties, and I would point out that there is a noted difference between those kinds of properties, and so that may be sort of a tenuous comparison between a Holiday Inn Express and a Holiday Inn. So with that background, I want to get to what I think are the two most important things to consider when it comes to putting a value to this property for tax purposes. First is the fact, and this is the reason why the profit and loss statements were given, is that commercial properties such as hotel properties are viewed from a valuation standpoint based upon an income approach. And while I think we all can be candid to say that, you know, this property doesn't have a zero value, the truth of the matter is that when a property from the income approach is considered, if there is a net operating loss, there is arguably no value, or it is valueless. But I think we have to deal with the realities of the situation. I'm staring at a room with 6 folks in it, and everybody is somewhat distanced and wearing a mask, and we have to take into due consideration the fact that we're in the middle of a global health crisis. And when you take that into consideration, you have to take into consideration the fact that travel has been stymied, whether it be business or for pleasure. And then accompanied with that is the hotel stays associated with that travel. I think it's important, and this document has not been provided to you all, but I'm quoting directly from an email from Montine McNulty, who is the CEO of the Arkansas Hospitality Association. he sent out an email on October 9th of this year. And in that email, it said, quote, "The numbers speak for themselves. The hospitality industry has been hit harder than any other sector, and we need both state and federal government help now." And by way of an accurate assessed value as it pertains to this property, I think that that would, in essence, qualify as government assistance. As I said at the outset, there's no question that we want this situation to be resolved, whether it's herd immunity or a vaccine or whatever. But we have to project forward when we're talking about what does that mean as it applies directly to this kind of property. It means we've got to have citizenry who feels safe, citizenry who feels safe to travel, and citizenry who feels safe to travel when that travel is accompanied by an overnight hotel stay. Now, when we think about Mr. McNulty's commentary about the numbers speak for themselves, I think we have to also look at the Holiday Inn properties from a comparison standpoint. And this goes to Exhibit D to my petition. So if we strip out the Holiday Inn Express properties from that comparative approach, you've got a situation where the Holiday Inn property on Bankhead, you see that in 2017, it was observed that that property had 201 rooms, and those rooms were given a $40,808 per room value in 2017. Then you've got the other Holiday Inn property, which is the one at Financial Center. It's got 119 rooms, and as of the 2020 assessment, it was given a $47,059 per room value. But then when you come to the property that's at issue here today, you see that it's only got 150 rooms, so that sits in between the 201 and the 119, and it was given a $70,200 per room value. So just to do the quick math, and again, we're 3 years down the road from 2017, but that's almost $30,000 more per room than what's happening with the Bankhead property in an aged assessed value. And then it's over $20,000 per room when we're talking about a comparable or current assessed value appraisal. And so I would say that those numbers appear off, especially when we're talking about how this industry has been so hard hit. And so my clients are not here asking for a $0 amount, but they want what's fair given the current circumstances and how we have to act and react to those circumstances going forward. And so with that, I'll conclude my commentary. I'm happy to take any questions, and I know that Mr. Witt and Mr. Nolan are too. Thank you.
I don't have any questions for his witnesses at this time, Your Honor.
Okay, well, so Mr. Smith, help me understand a couple things. So Mr. Nolan is an appraiser? What is Mr. Nolan's role here?
I'll let him answer.
Your Honor, one of the owners of the property.
Okay, that's all I need. I'm trying to figure out who's who. And Mr. Witt?
I'm one of the owners also.
Great. And how about call-in user number 2?
That is also Mr. Witt.
Oh, okay, all right. He's a belt and suspenders guy. I like that.
Yes, Your Honor.
So just stop it for a moment and let you know that your situation is not without the county's empathy. The only industry I'm aware of that I can tell you that is in worse shape than the hospitality industry is the arena industry, of which we would be the quasi owners. And I say quasi because it's a publicly supported facility. We did a temporary sales tax to construct that 21 years ago under the agreement that it would operate on self-sufficiency. And those folks have done an outstanding job and even built an emergency nest egg of $1 million, which is fast running out now. They were certainly the very first to close, and have no idea when they'll reopen. And so I just tell you my story so I can share the pain. And because of their quasi-governmental status, they didn't qualify for any PPP. They're not qualifying for any CARES Act money. It's really a bitter pill, to put it mildly. So since you opened the subject, I'm going to ask you that it's my understanding, the last I understood, is that 50 million of the CARES Act money by the state of Arkansas was being opened up for the hotel industry. Are y'all working on that? Are you having success? We're kind of running to the end of the CARES Act deadline. And if you're talking to Ms. McNulty, sure you should be aware that that's coming online.
Yes, Your Honor. I believe that application period starts Monday, November the 16th for the new round of the state aid. Okay.
So a little off the subject, but I did at least want to make sure that you're aware of that, because regardless of what the outcome is of this process, we like having you here. I'm very familiar with your hotel, and certainly want your venture here to be successful. With that, if that completes your initial presentation, Mr. Smith, and I appreciate that, then I'll pass it to Frank here.
Thank you, Your Honor. And just as a preliminary matter, as a procedural matter, in case this does go to court, and for the sake of the record, I'm just going to raise an objection to any kind of testimony brought in by someone not here present today, be it a statement or any kind of email. So I'm just going to object to that on the basis of hearsay.
It's so noted.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Today we have one of our assessors here. Sir, could you please state your name for the record?
Jim Ortega.
Okay. And Mr. Ortega, could you please just give me a little bit of background real quick? What is your relationship to the county assessor's office?
I'm a senior analyst at the assessor's office.
Okay.
Let me stop you there. Mr. Smith, can you hear okay?
Yes.
Okay.
So far.
All right. Well, raise your hand. Our Jim is a little soft spoken, but we can raise his volume if we prod him a little bit. Go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Ortega, can you please tell me any specific training that you have received to be able to conduct the work that you do?
Well, I'm a level 4 senior appraiser with the state.
Okay. And what about work experience in this field?
Worked with the county for 25 years.
Okay. Now, in looking at this particular property, first things first, on what is the date in which this value for the property is assumed?
That would be 2017.
Okay, but for the assessment that you have provided, what are you, I'm trying to articulate my question better here.
Take your time.
Thank you, Your Honor. Does your evaluation take into account any of the effects that the property has, or that the COVID-19 pandemic has had on the property?
No, but that value that they were talking about before, it was lowered in the Board of Equalization on that sheet. It was lowered down from the 10,500,000 to 9 million. I'm not sure the exact number, but
Okay.
And that was after looking at their income information, so that per room value is not 70,000. That was what it was before it was lowered.
Okay. And we'll come back to that, but I just wanted to, follow up on, so is that valuation that you initially gave, the $10 million, does that include any of the income or impacts from the year 2020?
No.
Okay. It's just looking from 2019
It's supposed to be as of January 1st.
as January 1st of
The
2020.
year that we're in, yes.
Okay, and this was before any of the economic impacts occurred due to COVID-19, correct? Okay. So we initially looked at some of the comparison. We looked at the comparisons of this property with some of the other Holiday Inn Expresses, or you did when coming to this value, correct?
Yes.
Okay. If you want, I've got a copy of the presentation that you had provided initially. Mr. Smith, do you have a copy of this presentation which had been emailed over?
Can you tell me who emailed it?
It was probably from Megan Davis, another attorney in our office here.
Let me look here. What's the first name?
Megan, Meagan. Okay. And it should say Holiday Inn Presidential and just kind of have a little PowerPoint screen to the front of it.
Yes, I've got it up now. Thank you.
Okay. And Your Honor, do you have a copy of the presentation as well?
Let's see.
I believe that's part of what's there.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, okay, I've got the title page here.
Okay. Mr. Ortega, do you recognize what this document is right here?
That's the income valuation for the property.
Okay, I'm going to hand that over to you. And can you read what it says up at the top, just so everybody can figure out which page that we're looking at there?
2017 reappraisal.
Okay. Mr. Smith, have you been able to locate the page that says 2017 reappraisal?
What page is it in there?
That's a good question.
It's about 6 pages back, I think.
Maybe 5 or 6 in there?
Okay, let's see. Ah, this is the computer screenshot. Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Ortega, do you mind if we kind of go through those numbers there to see how we came to that initial value or that value that you determined?
Okay.
Sure. If you could just kind of give us an explanation.
Well, I used $150, no, $125 a night room rate,
Okay.
150 rooms. And then I gave it 45% vacancy.
Okay. Is that just a standard number or a number frequently used in making these evaluations?
Well, yes, I mean, it depends on the quality of the hotel, and the room rate is their room rate that they advertise, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then 75% expenses that were taken off. Capitalized it at 8.5.
And how did you get that number?
The cap rate.
Yes.
There's like a standard hotel cap rates that we use for the area, that sort of thing. And then plus you can get them from the sales too.
Okay. And so you relied on similar properties located here within the local area to come with that number?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the deduction is for the business personal property that they turned in for that year, the $540,776.
Okay. And so that means you looked at specifically some of the expenses that they have provided you in coming to that valuation?
The the deduction for the personal property.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what they turned in to us.
Right.
That came up with the value of 10,530,000, which then, like I said before, I adjusted that down in the Board of Equalization hearing.
Okay. And so how did you come up with, and I think there's another page in which we were already looking at the price per rooms, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's 2 pages further along in the presentation. And so what did you value this property at as a price per room?
Well, originally it was valued at 70,200 a room, but like I was saying, it was lowered in the Board of Equalization to the current number we have on it, which is 9 million. I'm not sure the exact number on the sheet over there, but.
Okay, but in coming to your $70,000 per room, what did you do to get that number?
That's just the value divided by the number of rooms.
Okay, easy enough. Now, looking at this property compared with some of the other Holiday Inns, I believe there were some comparisons made to some of the other Holiday Inns within the area, correct?
That's correct.
And so some of those other Holiday Inns, they have a lower cost per, or lower estimated value per room, correct?
Yes.
Is there a specific reason why you felt like this property may be valued higher per room than some of those other Holiday Inns?
Their room rate that they're asking and the location of it, that sort of thing, factor in.
Okay. Can you elaborate a little bit more about the location and how it may impact the value of the property?
Well, this one is, close to the river market, which is a hot area, and it's right on Interstate 30, which is a busy interstate going through, so.
Okay, so the combination of those two benefits from location led you to believe it would be a more valuable property than the other Holiday Inns?
I would say so, yes.
Okay. Did you feel like it's fair to compare this Holiday Inn with some of the other ones that were on the sheet there?
Yes, they're comparable because they're Holiday Inn, so.
Fair enough. That's not the best question. What are some of the differences between the Holiday Inn that we are looking at here today versus some of the other Holiday Inns that are listed on that sheet there?
I would mainly say the location is probably the thing that jumps out at me the most.
Okay. Can you give me just a little bit of information on the location of the other Holiday Inns that are listed there?
Well, the one Holiday Inn is Bankhead, that's out by the airport. The other Holiday Inn is on Financial Center off of 430, 630 there. So, like I said, I don't think either one of those have as good a location as the subject.
Okay. And lastly, I just wanted to take a look at the property card real quick. It may still be in that presentation there. Have there been any recent sales of this property or recent transactions regarding the sale of this property?
Yes, it was purchased for $12,349,450 in March of 2019.
Okay. Your Honor, I have nothing further.
Mr. Smith, do you have questions for the witness?
I do, Your Honor. Mr. Ortegara, please forgive me. I don't know how I can hand you an exhibit to reference. If someone could provide Mr. Ortegara with Exhibit C to the petition. Mr. Ortega, are you familiar with these documents?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And were these documents not provided to you before you worked through your reappraisal on this matter?
When you say reappraisal, are you referring to the Board of Equalization hearing?
That's correct.
Yes, they were.
And within these documents, it reflects that during fiscal year 2019, this property operated at a net operating loss of $560,651. Is that correct? If I may take you to page 4 of the Holiday Inn President
Okay.
Profit and Loss. Yeah, you see that number down there? Net income. What does that say?
That's 560,650.
And that's in the negative, is it not?
Yes. But there's also expenses on here that are long-term and not operating expenses. So you've got depreciation, you've got interest expense, you've got things on here that aren't included on when you do an income valuation of a property because they're not operating expenses.
Okay, and so those are included within your presentation through that calculation that you made? Is that the $540,000 deduction that you put in there?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Well, Mr. Jenner took you through this computer screenshot that I identified as a 2017 reappraisal, which is what it is titled, and you went through a discussion about deductions which appear on a block on the next to last block line allocation under value calculations before you see the final value. And forgive me, I'm not there, and I didn't write down your exact words, but you indicated that number was placed in there as a result of operating expenses and things of that nature. Am I misstating you there?
That's right.
Okay, and so is it your testimony that this negative $560,000 income, this negative net operating income is comparable to that 540 or is involved with that 540 in any way, shape, or form?
What I'm telling you is that depreciation and interest expense are not operating expenses. That's why that's a negative 560,000. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay, tell me on this document that we're looking at where you see the depreciation. You're talking about under page 4, fixed expenses, depreciation.
That's right.
Okay. And so you're saying that is some sort of an abnormal depreciation. Is that correct?
That's not abnormal. That's not an operating expense.
So are you saying, is it your testimony that the net income as it appears as a negative value is swayed by that expense in an inappropriate fashion for an evaluation of the property on an income approach?
That's right.
Okay. One of the discussions that you had with Mr. Jenner in your testimony was that we were talking about your appraisal as it relates to only 2019 and not 2020, and that the pandemic was something that was an aberration of the 2020 calendar year. And I guess it's important to ask, considering the circumstances, had the pandemic been ongoing, would it have factored into your appraisal and the value?
I guess if we were doing it next year.
I'm sorry.
I guess if we were doing it next year at this time, since we go by the first of the year.
And how would it have affected the value of this property?
Well, the income, though, the gross income, the revenue would have been down.
So the the negative net operating income would become a factor as it relates to the pandemic if this evaluation was being made in 2020 as opposed to a 2019 evaluation. Is that your testimony?
I guess it could be. I mean, we're guessing, but,
Well, I guess what I'm trying to get clear on here is that you've just testified that COVID-19 and the effects of a global pandemic on net operating income for a property of this type is inapplicable in your evaluation because the COVID mess didn't begin until, or wasn't readily identified within the United States until sometime in 2020. Is that a correct statement?
that's right. It was after the first of the year. That is correct.
And you've also testified to the fact that the negative $560,000 worth of operating income, the negative operating income was attributable to some sort of abnormal depreciation that you identified in that profit and loss statement. Is that your testimony?
It's not abnormal. It's normal to have depreciation expense. It's not an operating expense. It's not something that you allow as an expense when you income out of your property.
Okay. And so the circumstances are that that because there's some sort of a missed cutoff as it relates to the pandemic, then that doesn't factor into your appraisal. Is that correct?
That's right.
But it would now. So for every hotel property that you appraise in calendar year 2020 going forward 3 years before another reappraisal period occurs, that would factor into your appraisal.
Yes.
Tell me about the financial center location. Your testimony is that you feel like because this particular property is near the river market area, that it is a property of greater value than that near the financial center. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, and how do you arrive at that?
They've been building a lot of hotels downtown. There's a new one going up right across from this one, a Holiday Inn Express. So obviously the potential is there, obviously. The demand, I should say, demand is there.
But that has to do with sort of the social atmosphere. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, that's how you're, I don't know what you mean by social atmosphere.
Well, it's been a long time since I've been, down to eat dinner or go have a beer or anything in the river market area. But my recollection is that that's more of a restaurant bar area than it is when we're talking when you compare it to a financial center as far as law practice, other insurance, things of that nature. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, I don't know, but I know there's a lot of hotels downtown and they're staying full. Every time I've talked to anybody, the hotels in the rural market, they're full throughout the week because they have a lot of business people. So the hotels are staying full, so there's demand for them.
Okay. So there's demand for hotels in the river market area as opposed to the financial center area.
There's more demand.
There's more demand in the river market area than in the financial center area.
Yes.
Your Honor, I don't believe I have any further questions for this witness.
I don't have any redirect for Mr. Ordigaro.
Okay. So,
I was just gonna, talk with, Mr. Clayton real quickly, if we may.
go ahead, Frank.
Okay. Sir, could you please just state your name for the record?
Bob Clay.
Sorry, I said Clayton. That's my mistake.
That's okay. Mr. Smith.
And Mr. Clay, could you just briefly tell me your association with the county assessor's office?
I'm the commercial division manager.
Okay. And what is your training in this area of property assessment?
Well, I've been with the assessor's office for 20 years. Prior to that, I was on the fee side of the appraisal world. Certified general license from the state of Arkansas.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to get a little bit more input about some of the differences in comparing these properties, as far as this property compared with some of the other ones that helped us to help you to, or Mr. Ortega get his valuations. Did you feel like the comparison with this Holiday Inn versus some of the other Holiday Inns is a fair comparison?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, and what leads you to that conclusion?
Again, location, the subject is located in what's being called, we used to kind of call the whole area the River Market, even across 630, but now that's being called the East End Market, or East End neighborhood. It's one of the hottest locations in Little Rock right now.
Okay, and so when you say hottest, does that mean higher in demand?
Higher in demand. There's a large apartment complex being built. There's been a harbor that's been built on the river just to the north of the subject property. There is a Holiday Inn Express being built. There are lots of bars and restaurants and that sort of thing planned for the year.
Okay, and from your expertise, does this demand therefore lead to a higher value of the property?
It does. Also, the financial center location, even though it has a financial center location drive, it is located back off of financial center. There's an Embassy Suites right in the area that is probably a better draw than excuse me, that Holiday Inn. That's really all I can think of off the top.
Okay, that's all I have, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith, any redirect?
No redirect this witness, Your Honor.
Okay. And that's all for your side?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith, did you have anything you wanted to add at this point?
Well, this is kind of weird, Your Honor. I'd kind of like to discuss this with my client, but I think I'm going to have to use technology to do that. So is there any way for me to evaluate that real quick?
Yeah, I got to think about this technology hurdle that we've got to get over because I'm sure you want to visit with them privately.
Do you need us to mute you and everyone else so you can speak with them privately?
Well, I think I can mute myself.
Okay.
And I can see that Storm is muted. I don't know that Chris is muted.
Call-in user 2 is not muted, so we may need to hit the mute button on that.
Okay, well, let me mute. Is there a mute all button?
What I'll do is I'll go ahead and mute everybody, and then whenever you're prepared, should we just take like a 5-minute recess or something?
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm more than happy with that. Is that enough time, Mr. Smith?
I think so. Yeah.
Great. I think you still need to mute Mr. Witt's
Hey, I believe I think you just did so.
There you go. Okay, everybody, Mr. Smith, and we're
Thank you.
recess. Okay. Recess for 5 minutes, and I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Okay. How's that feedback? Oh, that's me.
Olay.
My apologies there, gentlemen. I know there was a lot of pretty bad feedback there. We've got two different computers going to have everything set up with the WebEx and everything, so my apologies on that. Are you guys just about ready to go forward?
Yeah, we're ready to go.
Okay. Well, I guess we're just waiting on the judge, but if and when he gets back, we'll let him know that we're already here, so I'll take a peek at the hall.
Uh-oh. He ran over a bailiff. Not over, but he hit the bailiff making a turn. It's didn't injure the man, but
It was a very interesting story. Nothing's wrong.
It's gonna be a good game tonight.
who's playing tonight?
Tampa Bay and, Giants, is that right?
I think so.
Yeah. Still got Ronald Jones and Sam Shepard to go.
Talking about fantasy?
10.6 is all I need.
I crunched my opponents this week. I had Calvin Cook, so. He got me 24
You
points.
had a good night. I picked up Giovanni Bernard. He got me 22-8 this week.
I had Giovanni Bernard, I only got 19.8. I guess it depends on how they're scoring.
Got it changed up a little bit.
I went from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, huh?
That's the way it happens. Kind of like when a lawyer says, one more question.
And the questions are free today. Take all you want.
Okay, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to ask a few more questions of Mr. Ortega, if I may. Does that work? Yes, I'm calling him back.
Yeah, he's ready for your question.
Okay. If we go to the screenshot on the computer that we discussed earlier, and then we look at the value calculations, you have the net income of $941,000.16. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, and where did you come up with that number?
Well, that's like I explained earlier, the room rate times the number of rooms, vacancy of 45%, a standard 75% expenses for a full service hotel. That's how I came up with the net operating income.
Okay, but you were actually given the actual net operating income. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, and that was 525,000. Is that correct?
That's right.
And we had a healthy discussion about interest expense and adding back, well, and depreciation. But in that net operating income of 525,000, the depreciation and the interest expense is added back into that number. Is that correct?
I don't know what I added back into, but it's not in there. It's not included in there.
That's right. That's right. And so when you plug the 525 as opposed to the 941,000 in and multiply your cap rate, what do you get there? Roughly about 6.2?
We don't have to do their math, do we? I mean, it's something that
This,
I don't understand.
this is also taking into account that you've got 3 months that were low because of the COVID. I thought we already went through that though.
Okay, I'm sorry, you were up there.
Income and expense,
It's
but
got
not
the-
include all 12 months.
Yes, the income was lower because of the COVID-19. I thought we already went through all that. You've got 3 months, at least 3 months that are low because of that.
Can you explain that a little bit better? Forgive me because this has to do with
I explained it very, very clearly. You've got 3 months that are lower because of the COVID-19. There's 3 months on here that are not anywhere close to the averages of the other 3 months of the 12. So that's why your net income is lower. I thought we already discussed all that.
But the 525,000 is the 219. Are you saying that there's 19 that's factored into 2019?
That number I thought was for August 19th through July of this year. That's what this says right here on your profit and loss that I'm looking at.
Which profit and loss are you looking at?
The one that says August 2019 through July 2020.
I'm not seeing the document that you're referring to.
You gave,
I believe he's referring to Exhibit C, which had been previously provided.
Okay.
In your package provided.
And so okay, give me just a second.
Look, here, look. Look at the thing right here. Not the first page, but it's the last page, I think. This is teams. These are all the categories from the all here. And I never did find 525. So I don't know where the hell it's at.
See, I've got a completely separate document that shows net ordinary income of $525,151.80 for the year ending December 2019. So I need you to point to that number for me on the document that you're looking at. That's what I'm struggling with here. You're looking at the trailing 12 P&L, I think. Is that correct?
I'm looking at this income that was, like I said, August 2019 through July 2020.
Right. And so if you would show me on that document where it says 525,000.
I never said it said that. I'm just saying that you had 3 months there that were low.
Right, but I'm
The norm.
not testifying, but I'm telling you that you were provided with the net operating income that adds back depreciation and interest expense through the end of the calendar year of 2019 at $525,000. Is that correct?
I don't see 525,000 anywhere on.
Let me wade in here, Mr. Smith, because I'm working through your exhibits also. And actually, when you worked on Exhibit C earlier, I never found the 525 on that exhibit. And that exhibit is 4 pages long, so maybe you can help walk us to where 525 the net income occurs.
Well, it may be a separate document.
Okay, is it in Exhibit B or D or? List of hotels. C is.
It's not. I don't. It's. I guess my question for Mr. Ortegara now is were you never provided a document that indicates that the net ordinary income for year end was 525?
I do not have that. No.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think that's all I've got.
You're all right. Nothing further.
Okay, gentlemen, here's how I'd like to do this. Is I'm going to invite each of you or the both of you to provide an executive summary of your case or a closing, if you will, of your case, not to exceed 1 page. And this is if you want to do this. If there's something that you missed or you want to make sure you get it in the record, whatever the case may be, you can include it in this document. I'll give you 2 weeks from today to have that in the office. After I've received that 2 weeks from today, then I'll make a ruling on this case within 2 weeks of that.
Okay.
Make sense, Frank?
If I
Submit it to the clerk.
I'm sorry.
Submit it to the clerk's office for filing.
If I may, Your Honor, you say an executive summary of 1 page. Are there any additional attachments that are allowed?
No, just 1 page. I like 1 pagers. I think it moves the process along.
I understand. I guess my concern is that I'm of the understanding that my client forwarded this document, this P&L that I was questioning Mr. Ortegara about, and I would like to have the opportunity to, you know.
So what you're saying is it appears, so what you're saying is it appears that this document you were referring to actually never didn't get submitted or it wasn't part of that exhibit package. And so you need to get it in the record is what you'd like.
What I'm saying, yeah, that's right. It was not presented as an exhibit to my petition for appeal. However, it was presented to Mr. Ortegara initially, and it didn't make it into the packet that was the slide presentation, and so I feel like it's of substantive.
So how many pages do you have an idea of how many pages that document? Is that just a one page?
It's just a P&L. So it'd probably be an emailed evidence that it was forwarded to his attention and a 4-page, document. So
that's fine. I'll accept that document in addition to your 1-page summation of your case.
And if I don't get it, then you don't get it. But I've been made to understand that it was forwarded to his attention for consideration. So.
And Your Honor, just as a substantive matter, procedural matter, I'm going to raise an objection to hearsay and lack of foundation for anything that's introduced after the fact into evidence.
Well, we're not so much, I'm going to leave the legal details to you all to hash out somewhere. But in terms of the summation of the case, I'm going to allow that to be included. It was obviously attempted to be discussed today and has some party to it. And I don't know where it takes us, but I'm going to make the decision and I'm going to accept that.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, all right, gentlemen, I don't have anything further. I appreciate your time.
Right. Mr. Smith, where are you at?
I'm in Fort Smith.
Oh, okay. All right. A lot of friends over there. I guess that wraps us up. No, anything else?
Nope, I'm here, Your Honor.
We're good. Okay, gentlemen, we're adjourned. Have a good evening.
Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Take care.
Let's get everybody off of there. Yeah, please end it.